That's what this thing is really fun for. Just going and messing around. It's got an amazing trigger, way better than an AK trigger. High capacity potential, inexpensive, reliable, and as long as you remember to do this, it's great. Now, here's the interesting thing. A lot of people love MP5s or any kind of HK weapons because they like the slap, you know? They like the HK slap. But the thing is, what's the difference between that and this? It doesn't have a last round bolt hold open either. With this one, you have to do it yourself, just like that one. And then when you're ready to go, there's your Pak9 slap. So have a ball.
Hey guys, this is Max Headspace 9mm, and I am taking a little trip down memory lane. You might remember this gun. I bought this gun several years ago, maybe 3 years ago. And back when I got this, these were pretty much new on the scene. Nobody really knew what to do with it. It's a 9mm subgun. It's built based on the AK platform with AK receivers. And it's a blowback operated gun. It's very heavy and built like a tank. And a lot of people were thinking, well, why would I want a thing like that? That's just really different. Well, this was a little bit early on in the 9mm subgun craze. There are so many people getting into 9mm subguns now that it's probably one of the hottest things you can do in the gun world. But back when I got this, that just wasn't quite the case yet. People weren't ready for it. So I did a few videos. I talked about how you could put a pistol arm brace on here and do some modifications. You could get a different magwell. This is a Glock magwell, and it came with a Beretta magwell. And I wanted Glock because I had plenty of Glock magazines, but the Beretta magazines are pretty cheap. I got these for 19 bucks a pop. They're Metgar magazines, and they are really built well. I have no complaints at all about these magazines. In fact, I got a whole bunch of them when I first got started while I was waiting for my Glock magwell. But anyway, I wanted to do a video about this. It's been a long time since I've actually shot or had any fun with this gun. I've kind of moved on to other guns, and this just sits in the safe, waiting to be taken out and played with. And boy, it is fun. This is probably the most fun gun I own. And I really don't shoot it enough because I'm testing and reviewing and torture testing and training with other guns. But today I want to do a little bit of a breakdown and field strip video with this. I did get this Krebs Custom Safety, which allows you to hold the bolt open and then drop the bolt all in one swift motion. And the reason why this is so important for this gun, and I think this should be included on here, or if it's not, get one for sure, is that you should not load this gun, load a magazine in this gun on a closed bolt. You just shouldn't do it. What happens is the feed lips of your magazine will get bent, slamming against the bottom of the bolt. So you have to get in the habit with your manual of arms, when the gun runs dry, you lock the bolt back and you hang up the safety, replace the magazine, and then drop the bolt. That's just something you do with this. And it works really well, I must say. I've had no problems once I learned that. But let's get into this. So the gun's cleared and safe. It has a hinged top cover, which is a fantastic feature. I wish all AKs were that way. Just makes too much sense. Now, this is not a gas-operated system like an AK. This is not a piston. The bolt is entirely different. The spring is a lot shorter than on an AK. After you remove the spring, you want to pull out this piece of plastic right here. Excuse me, polymer. This is the buffer. This thing right here is a piece of really rugged, impact-resistant plastic that keeps this heavy bolt from slamming into this rear trunnion over and over again and beating it to death. And I got to tell you, I probably got, I don't know, 2,500 rounds through this gun. And I cannot see that this has worn at all. I was a little concerned at first that I'd be replacing this on a regular basis, but it's not cracking, it's not chipping. I don't see any wear. I was going to get an extra one of these just to be on the safe side. I still am, but anyway. Now here's the bolt. All you have to do with this bolt when you get it, back when I got mine, there was actually people on YouTube complaining that they were having their retaining pins walking out on the bolt. So basically you have a pin here that retains the firing pin. You have a pin here that retains your extractor. And that looks like about it. Now this one here that retains your extractor is held in place once this is inside the receiver. So this really can't come out. And it's loose. I can push this out by hand right now. But it's held in place when it's in the gun, so that's not a problem. But what you can have happen is your firing pin retainer can come out. And there are people who will be shooting these when they first came out. These were not staked in, and people would all of a sudden like, oh, my gun's not working, and they'd find the firing pin down in the bottom of the receiver. And of course, they'd have to order for a new pin. Once they got a few complaints, they started checking this at the factory, and they stake the pin in place. Now, what a staked pin is you got this hole right here. There's a firing pin retainer pin inside this hole, and then on the side right here is a dent. That's called staking, and that's what holds this pin in and keeps it from falling out. If it is not staked on yours, you might want to do that. It's real easy. Just take a punch and just make a little dent right in the side here in line with that firing pin retainer pin. And you don't have to make it too deep. Just make it enough to keep it from coming out. And that's all there is to that. So you might be thinking, well, looks like a piston. It looks a little like an AK, but this is not a piston. It's just a weight. And I've seen videos of people modifying these all the time. You know, they love to tinker with this gun because there's so much metal in it and there's so much you can do, and it's so simple. You know, even a chimpanzee could probably do endless modifications on this gun if they wanted to. I've seen people remove these or drill them out or whatever. I wouldn't do that if I were you. The weight of this bolt is supposed to be this weight for a reason. So leave it alone, because the Romanians know better than you do about how to make a gun. And anybody that thinks otherwise is probably just kidding themselves. Anyway, the front trunnion is incredibly robust. There is so much metal in this gun. It's one of the heaviest subguns I've ever seen. So as far as cleaning goes, there's not much to this. This is a really easy gun to clean and maintain. You basically just take a rag and wipe down the rails. There's still machining dust from when this gun was made. Some of the tooling in here. And that's just the way AKs are. You don't need to worry about it. AKs are robust. They'll work no matter what. So you don't need to get too fussy with this. Just wipe down the extra residue. It is a blowback, so you're going to get a little bit more gunpowder residue in the receiver than you would, say, on a piston gun or something else. But all you really need to do with this, for the most part, is take your brush and run it in your barrel, which is right here. There's your barrel. It's a little bit easier to do from this end. You get a rod on here and you clean out the bore of your gun. Just run it in and out, and then you can swab it if you want to later. And you know, wipe it as much as you want. But I mean, honestly, this gun, it's so robust and rugged, you don't really have that much you need to do with it. You could put a little bit of gun oil on these rails here. The bolt, I'll put this back in so you can see. So when you want to put the bolt in, you're going to drop it right in here, and you have to overcome the spring tension in the hammer just a little bit. It's pushing up, so you got to push it over that hammer, and then close it up. So these are the rails, right here on top of the receiver. That is what the bolt rides on. That's what keeps it in place. And it's a little bit sloppy, you know. It can you know, wiggle back and forth a little bit, but that doesn't really hurt anything. But those are the rails you want to go ahead and put the oil on. You can also kind of clean these grooves out right here. These grooves are where the bolt rides on the rails of the receiver. You can rub a little oil right on here. You can even polish this if you really want to, if you feel like you need to. But, you know, in all the use and the fun that I've had with this thing, I have not really been that careful cleaning it or oiling it, and it just keeps working and working, and it doesn't really show any significant signs of wear that I can see. It's a real no fuss, no nonsense kind of a gun, just like Romanians are famous for making. And I'll bet if you didn't do any maintenance on it at all, it'd probably run longer than just about anything else. So that's what I've got to say about that. If you want to know what kind of gun lube to use, I like CLP. It's a solvent-based oil. It's good at cleaning while it lubricates. And the way you put the buffer in, there's a hole, and the hole goes in the front, and the dent goes in the top. So you put it in right like that. And I don't know why they made it this way, because it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but it does its job, and that's all I care about. And you put the spring right in the back. If you are familiar with AKs, you'll be really familiar with how this works. And then this little plunger right here goes forward and slips down, not all the way down, but part way down into this notch right here in the back. I'll do that again so you can see. So the spring goes in this hole. It's got a hinge in the center of it, see? So it's a little flexible. It's made that way on purpose. It goes in. You need to go forward just that far and in that groove right there. And then a lot of people really struggle with that. But it's easy to get used to once you've done it a few times, especially if you're used to AKs like I am. I've got about a dozen AKs, and I could field strip them backward and forward behind my back in the dark. And then you just slap down the top cover is all you do. And that pin will pop out. So that's all you need to do. It's just that simple. And there's really no limit to what you can do with these. You can modify these, customize these. You know, I left mine in a lot of ways factory. A lot of people change the grips out. One of the beauties of the AK platform that this benefits from is you can use AK grips and a lot of AK things to modify this gun. So, you know, I put a hand stop up here. I think that's a good idea because it's not very far to the muzzle. And when I shoot this with friends, before I had this on there, I noticed people getting right up there a little bit too close to that muzzle, and that could make a fun day of shooting turn into a nightmare real quick. So as far as things that I have done with this, I have taken this as far as I could take it, and then I've stripped it down and I brought it clear back almost to where it started. And every single iteration and every single adjustment that I've made to this has been fun. It's had its own magic. You can put any kind of optic you want on here. I've had high power scopes on here, and I've had red dots. A red dot's the most sensible for this. And this is pretty accurate out to about 25 meters. You know, you can get real nice little groups of maybe about 8 or 9 inches, handheld, no rest, with this gun. And it's a great gun. And it actually is pretty good for home defense. I threaded the muzzle. They come threaded now, but when I bought this, it wasn't. So I got a thread kit, and I put this on here myself because I have a suppressor, and I wanted to be able to suppress this gun. This is a perfect suppressor host. So if you do that, you might want to consider it. So anyway, I thought you'd enjoy going down a little trip with me down memory lane with the Pak9. I have had so much fun with this gun, and you know, even more so with all of you, because so much interest Oh man, when I put these videos up, I didn't know how many people would be interested in this obscure little gun. I had no idea. But they are some of the most popular videos on my channel. And man, it's been awesome helping you guys build yours and giving you advice and telling you where I got the parts from. So yeah, if you have any further questions or comments, leave them in the comments section. This is just a very simple gun. It's almost impossible to hurt it, and it's nothing but fun. So thanks a lot for watching, and you have a good one.